Welcome to Next Mile, a series by Metrobi where we do a deep dive on all things related to local businesses and last mile delivery with our special guests to bring you valuable insights on business growth. Next Mile is hosted by Team Metrobi.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm the CEO of Metrobi and I'm here with David Morris, CEO of Smart Lunches. So Smart Lunches is one of our first and dearest customers. And David, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I know I introduced you a little bit, but would love to hear about Smart Lunches and the newest and the most up-to-date information from you.
Absolutely, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So Smart Lunches, we are a multi-regional provider. We're serving everywhere from DC up to here in Boston. We are delivering hot, ready-to-eat food to daycares in all these different states. We're feeding thousands of kids every day, breakfast, lunch, snack, providing them with fresh, healthy, tasty food. And most of the centers that we serve are actually participating in the USDA's Child and Adult Care Food Program, which means that we're really serving an underprivileged population, the very kids who need the food the most. And so we are partnering with these daycares to provide all the food they need, letting them avoid the hassle, the expense of running their own kitchen, and offering them high quality, great choice and variety, and just good food every day.
Yeah, great. I mean, you especially after post-COVID, you've been expanding a lot in the recent months. Is that true?
Yes. Obviously, March of 2020, just like I think everybody else in the country, we had a rather rude surprise. All of our customers shut down in the course of about 5 days, and we found ourselves with no revenue. We weathered that. We started to reopen slowly in June and then fully in July, as a lot of our centers started to go back into service. And actually, for a lot of them, one of the key reasons they wanted to reopen was because of the food, because they wanted these kids to be able to come to their center and get their fed every day. One of the things that we've heard countless times from the directors of these centers is, it's not just that this is the best food these kids are getting every day. It may well be the most food. And so it was really wonderful to see, beyond the purely economic reasons, for a lot of them, reopening was all about getting these kids fed and take care of the kids. So as I said, really started to reopen in July. We got back to our pre-shutdown volume by December, January of 2021. And growth has continued to accelerate. For a lot of centers, as they reopened, an amazing opportunity for them to reconsider their food program. If they've been cooking pre-shutdown, now they're open again, they don't want to go back to cooking, let's look at outsourcing. If they had been outsourcing, dissatisfied with their vendor, what a great opportunity for us to look around for a new choice. So we've seen our lunch volume, roughly quadruple over the last 12 months. It's been really amazing.
That's awesome. So you operate from Massachusetts to Virginia, right, in a wide geography and expanding. Which of these markets are you more focusing nowadays?
It's pretty much an equal focus. We're running 4 kitchens. So we've got one serving the greater DC area, one serving Philadelphia, one serving northern New Jersey, and then one here in Boston. And as you know, we're covering an awfully wide footprint in Boston. We're going as far south as the Cape, as far north as Gloucester. And so we can drive lunches a really long way, it turns out. Pretty much equal focus. Boston is our largest market. It's about twice the size of the other 3. But there's an amazing opportunity everywhere. And so, we're seeing great sales activity, great growth opportunity in all 4.
That's awesome. I want to also get into basically the very details of food, right? So you are serving schools and daycares, and there are a lot of components of preparing the food, right? So because children are not the easiest customers when it comes to eating food, and there's a safety concern, there's reliability, right, and just making sure that the food gets into these locations all the time. Can you tell us a bit more about what makes Smart Lunches very special, and the care and the details that you put into preparing food?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right with the complexities. And if you think about the constituencies that we're serving, that's early childhood, And so you've got to be hyper concerned about choking hazards. You'll never see a hot dog on our menu. You won't see meatballs. We're making sure that the food we're providing is coming diced up, diced chicken, ground turkey, that kind of thing, just to try to avoid all of that. We're also following the USDA guidelines for early childhood nutrition, which is Byzantine in its complexity.
Right.
At its core, it's very simple and it's just a great structure. Every lunch has 4 components. It's got a protein, a whole grain starch, a fruit, and a vegetable, which in our mind is just a great way to build a lunch. And we're delighted to have those guidelines to follow. But then you start getting into what counts as a protein. And if you're looking for 1.5 ounces of protein, how many ounces of beans does it take to make 1.5 ounces of protein? Because not every protein is the same. So, the menu design is made more complex by that. And then, of course, we're really trying to inject as much variety as we possibly can, because this is a great opportunity for us to expose children to new tastes, new flavors. It's at that ages 1 through 5 where you really have the opportunity to shape their palates. And the teachers who are eating with them, who are encouraging them, they're all sitting around the table, they're all having the same food. There's an opportunity for them to encourage the kids to try new things. So, what sets us apart? First of all, the choice. We're offering 2 or 3 different entrees every day. So you get to select what you want your children to have. You also have the ability, if some of your kids can't eat that primary choice, they're vegetarian, they have a food allergy, order a few of the other meal. So every child gets fed.
Right.
So it's the choice, it's the ease of administration. All online ordering or technology lets you adjust your order volumes real time. It gives you full communication back and forth. And our commitment to getting the right lunch to the right kid at the right time and for it to be hot and healthy and good. Our successful outcome is a great nap time. What our centers tell us, they start using us, and we've heard several times, boy, the kids are sleeping better.
Oh, that's awesome.
For nap time.
I'm sure the parents will appreciate that part too.
Yes.
Your experience with your customers actually starts from all the way, like schools preparing their monthly food schedules, all the way children finishing their food, right? So it's like a very large span of, and there are a lot of components that's going into it. And one of the unique things that you actually have a strong technology side of it, right? So you have actually a platform that schools actually enter, and then they can understand the food safety issues and the nutrition related information and allergies. Can you tell us a bit more about that part?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the technology that makes it all possible.
Right.
And in particular, it's the technology that lets us run multiple kitchens and serve, dozens of different schools, thousands of children in 6 different states. And as you said, it all starts with the order entry. At the beginning of every month, the school logs in and places their orders every day. This is what I want. This is how many of it I want. So if their enrollment fluctuates throughout the course of the week, they can change it. It's 70 kids one day, it's 80 the next. And so they tell us, okay, here's what my monthly menu is going to be. And here's roughly what the numbers are going to be, knowing they can always change them later in the month. That does a lot of different things for us. First off, a week or 2 ahead, it lets the kitchen know what ingredients they need to order and how much, so that when that day comes, we've got all the food and all the ingredients we need.
And everything
it also allows us to be incredibly efficient. We know our orders in advance. We're not making extra food and wasting it. We're making precisely what the kids need.
Right.
It gives the kitchen the production tools they need. The labels for the pan,
Right.
This pan is for this group of kids. It has this many servings, and this is what's in this specific pan. It creates the packing sheets that go on the outside of the insulated totes. So when it goes to the school, they know what's in there. And it also lists the temperature both at which it was packed and the temperature at drop-off. So we can be sure that hot food is staying nice and hot above 145 degrees, the cold food nice and cold below 40, staying out of that danger zone.
Right.
Where food safety is so critical. Post the production, the kitchen uses those tools to make the food, to plate the food, to pack the food into the totes. And at that point, that's when delivery comes in. And you, of course, know this every bit as well as I do, given how much delivery you've done for us. Picking up that food, getting the list of deliveries in the smartphone app, being able to use that list as you go through the day, dropping the food off, documenting, I got to this school, I dropped off these totes, this is what the temperatures were, and I'm checking out now and I'm going on to the next school. So yeah, the technology makes it possible.
Yeah.
It lets us handle all of these different orders, lets us handle all of the variety we offer, lets the kitchen execute, and then lets delivery execute.
Exactly. And also like the visibility for the schools, right? Like how everything runs and like how everything is prepared and tracked is very important.
Yeah. And as you said, in that ordering portal, being able to see not only what the options are and select them, but being able to see the nutritional data, the ingredients, the allergens they contain.
100%.
So yeah, no, it's all about the technology that underpins everything we do.
Yeah, it's actually like as you said on the website, it's just taking like food making, which have been around for a long time, but turning it into a technology-driven way that actually addresses the requirements of every single child, right? So that's the complexity and the coordination that goes into it, and it goes from logistics to food preparation to running the kitchen and everything. So and decreasing waste and making sure that everything runs smooth. So yeah, there's a lot of components. David, so you come from a very diverse background, right? So looking at like you work with, you led many companies before and like many different industries, and like food is, so you've been with Smart Lunches for about like 7 years now. And can you tell us a bit about yourself and like how everything evolved for you?
Well, going way back, started at the very beginning, I started as a high school English teacher, English and education major, did some teaching at the high school level, loved it, just a fantastic experience, and then found myself stumbling into business. Had an opportunity to take a short-term role at an investment bank as an analyst, and found that I loved it. I loved business. I loved, so much of it is like teaching. It's working with people to help them succeed. And so I got a lot of the benefits that I felt in teaching, and also found that it had, I thought, a better fit for me over the long term. So regretfully, but I think wisely, moved on from teaching to pursue business. So investment banking, business school. I spent several years at Sprint in Kansas City. Ended up as the head of strategy in the consumer division there, which was an amazing opportunity to see how giant companies work. From there, shifted to managing an HR consulting business in DC. There again, really getting deep and really understanding how companies interact with their employees. How do you create value for employees, not only monetarily, but more importantly, quality of life, purpose, mission, culture, things that honestly, they always say if you give somebody a pay raise, they're happy for a week, and then it's normal again. You got to get the money right, but you can't get it perfect. It's not the thing that creates happiness.
Right.
And yeah, from there, I decided it was time to go entrepreneurial. So I took the reins at a startup company outside Atlanta that did online traffic ticket payment, and just had a ton of fun there. We ran that, grew it for 6.5 years, sold it to outside investors. Everybody, it was one of those things where everybody was happy. We were able to pay all the employees' bonuses. The investor group did very well in their exit, and all of the current investors were delighted. So just fantastic. And as I looked around for the next thing, I came across Smart Lunches and thought, I've got a passion for food. I've got a passion for childhood and child development. This looks like a great combination.
Great. And you're also very hands-on right now, working together for a long time. Like one of your unique side is actually everything about every side of the business. Like how does this play for you? Like I know it's a personal trait as well, but like it should actually mean a lot to you that like Smart Lunches basically like mean a lot to you, so that you actually involve. Can you tell us a bit more about that? So what drives you day to day and
this is my company, right? This is what I do. And I think anytime you're leading an organization, you're running a company, you've got to be passionate about it. You really do have to care. And I cared about online traffic ticket payment, helping people with their interactions with traffic courts, helping them satisfy their obligation, helping them not have to go to court. Even better here, right? We're feeding kids. And I'll deliver the lunches and you see these little kids running around, working up an appetite. And it's just fantastic to be able to do that and to hear from the teachers at the school, boy, they just devoured lunch yesterday. You've got to care. And what we're doing is critically important. So it's easy to care. And in terms of being involved, we're still a small startup company and we're feeding thousands of kids every day. But the goal is tens of thousands of kids. And we're driving there rapidly. And so it's important to understand every part of the business, to have hands on every part of the business.
Yeah, every single part of it is very important. So, I mean, what was your maybe proudest moments, the moments that really made you super motivated and super excited?
Well, that's interesting. It's a lot of it's all the little things. It is that delivering the lunch and talking to the owner and learning that yesterday's entree was amazing. Adding a new entree and having it be a huge hit. We introduced French toast sticks with hard-boiled eggs for lunch, breakfast for lunch. No. And it just, boom, that's all anybody ordered that day. And it's become a mainstay. And identifying that, getting creative about what we're offering, so that we can continue to increase, not only so we can rotate 40 plus entrees through our monthly menu, but for more and more of those entrees to be real anchor tenants, things that almost every center would like their kids to have and that the kids will enjoy.
Yeah. Great. So what's your goals for smart lunches, coming in the next year or the following years? What are you more focused on currently?
At this point, obviously, as everybody has, we've dealt with the economic pressures of the past year and a half, the tightness in the labor market, for us, the inflation in food costs, for all of us, the inflation in gas prices, which, we're talking about and thinking about every single day. A world in which gas is $5 a gallon is a very different world. So that's been a real focus of ours over the past 6 months, is just making sure we understand those economic impacts and we're managing them. And it's been very successful for us, and we're feeling quite good about how we're doing and where we stand on that front. You're never done, you always have to watch it, but we're making money on every lunch, which is where we want to be. And so from here, it's all about growth. It's all about new centers, new kids, and the goal is, we should be able to double our run rate, double our revenue this year, and keep growing incredibly rapidly into the future. We're talking about a market in which, in the states we serve, hundreds of thousands of kids are getting fed every day, and they should be getting fed smart lunches. So our goal is to make that happen.
Are you planning to, what's your plan about geographic expansion now? Of course, you're focusing on your existing markets to grow your presence, but also do you have plans for when do you plan to expand into new regions?
Yeah. So this is a massive marketplace. As I said, we're feeding thousands of kids a day. There are 600,000 children getting fed every day in the states we serve through the federal program alone. So we have unbelievable growth opportunity in our existing kitchens, and that is our first focus. And for the next year, that's really where we're going to be hyper-focused. That said, it's a national marketplace. And so probably in the next year and a half, we'll be looking to add at least one new region, most likely initially by edging out. Let's open a kitchen in Baltimore or Delaware and fill in that space between our BC kitchen and the Philadelphia kitchen. Let's think about opening something maybe in the suburbs of New York City. We get a huge amount of inbound interest. I've probably gotten 8-10 emails over the past 2 months from schools in that area who are desperate for a good solution. But that's a tough place to drive, so that'll take a lot of thought. But we'll be looking to add some territory, probably initially edging out. Ultimately, the goal is for us to start to build a national presence.
Yeah, of course. So all these new schools find you through word of mouth, I believe, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is word of mouth. One of the exciting things that happened last year is that when we looked at our opportunities, our sales opportunities, 25% of them came from word of mouth. They were partner referrals, which is exactly how you want to see growth happening. And that was up from 5% the year before. Our reputation is building.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it's digital marketing. You know, we've got emails we send out. We've got Google AdWords. These schools and daycares, food's a challenge. And there just comes a point where it's frustrating. And the question of, is there a better solution comes up? You know, and if you're looking for, you don't want to have a chef, you don't want to run your own kitchen. If you're looking for, you're frustrated with not only the quality of the food, but the poor variety. You know, I was talking to a center that's planning on starting to use us this summer, and they said, you know, the kids eat the same thing every Friday. There's only one entree, and they keep repeating it, and it's terrible. And so, you know, we bring that, you know, variety, choose what you want, give the kids good food, and give them changes, different things. And then the work elimination, which is something that we, I think, have not really talked about with our prospects as much as we should be. We take a huge amount of work off the plate of these centers when it comes to preparing, plating, distributing the food within the center, to take it to a logical extreme. One of the things our technology lets us do is actually plate the food by classroom.
Right.
So that every classroom gets its own set of trays that can be carried directly there. There's no re-portioning, no anything that. Again, that's a capability we have. It's not something we do very often, but it's something we're starting to explore and think about.
It sounds simple, but when you actually handle hundreds of foods and within a very short time span, right? So because this is making to the lunchtime, and this ability is very important because it's a very complex operation when it comes to that.
No, this is very complicated. So, you know, I was explaining to my daughter, you know, the sort of scale we were at, you know, partway through last year. And I said, well, the thing is, on Chicken Nugget Day, we're sending out 30,000 nuggets. On Mac and Cheese Day, we make a ton of mac and cheese.
Right.
That's not figurative. We're literally making 2,000 pounds of mac and cheese.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, and that's hard. And it's hard to distribute. And it's hard to create and package and drive.
You know, it just occurred to me that I wanna see that, like these 20,000 chicken nuggets at once.
It is absolutely startling. You walk into the kitchen and there are nuggets everywhere. You know, speed rack with tray after tray after tray of nuggets.
Yeah. This is like it's a very, and the time pressure is actually one of the things that makes it really complicated. You can't just like take 4 hours to deliver everything. You have to be very precise. The food has to be warm, and there's a lot of even keeping your food warm when you cook for yourself is a challenging thing. But like that at that scale is very, like 20,000 nuggets is not easy to keep every single of them at the same quality.
Yep, and counting them out, right? Because it has to be precisely 20,000 nuggets. And so somebody's counting. Every kid gets 6 nuggets, okay? That's 6, that's 12. You know, this tray needs to have 24 nuggets in it, okay? You know, not simple. It's funny, it's a heck of a lot more complicated than you'd ever think once you really look behind the curtains.
Yeah. So I just want to talk also about how our path crossed and how we get to know each other. And we are both Boston-based initially, like we started here, and we have some common connections. But I want to actually get into what it meant for you and understand, like we collaborate on like the last mile part of like distributing food. You also do it by yourself. Can you tell us like how were you delivering before Metrobi, and when we started working together, what changes it made and how it actually contributed?
Absolutely. So historically, we've always done delivery by hiring people who use their private cars. personal cars to do that last mile delivery. And so for the most part, these are folks that, they'll be driving Uber, Lyft for much of the day. We come and we can fill in that morning slot, which is low traffic. Not many people are getting rides at that point in time. And so that sort of 8:30 to 12:30 section that we offer just fill up with incredibly consistent, dependable work. That also has some real benefits. You're driving these schools day after day. You're seeing the same people, the same teachers. There's a relationship development opportunity. But boy, food delivery, that market's gotten a lot harder in the past 2 years. Food delivery went through the roof. Economics were tough. Labor was scarce. And so, we were put in contact, I want to say year and a half ago. About that. And really that conversation started exactly the right time for us because we were running into this labor crunch combined with our massive growth surge. And it really got to the point, particularly, summer of 2021, where we just couldn't, we were doubling the company in size in a month or two. And had to hire the kitchen staff, had to figure out the food, had to figure out the logistics. And to be able to try and hire and retain delivery drivers we couldn't do it. We didn't have the capacity, and frankly, the market wasn't supporting it. And so being able to, lean on Metrobi, and particularly in the Boston market, just say, here, deliver all this food to all these places. And it really was just invaluable for us to be able to just hand it off. And
did you experience other solutions before, or did you get to try others?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you get to try other solutions like Metrobi before, or were we the first one that you worked with?
We a little bit. Frankly, we never found anything that really worked for us when we looked at it historically, which is why we always kept using our own drivers. The folks that were out there, a lot of them didn't understand the time sensitivity.
Right.
So the third-party delivery services, we'll deliver this for you. It'll get there sometime today. That doesn't work. This food has to be there at 11 a.m.
unless you're delivering to a place that has time zone difference, lunchtime is always lunchtime, right?
Yeah. No, it really something. So, Metrobi, very consistent. It just really allowed us to focus on the food and know that delivery was being taken care of.
Well, basically, we of course had our first conversation. What was the impression in the first couple days that made you choose us? Basically, Metrobi seems like a right fit for us. What was that for you?
Well, first, just the strong communications.
Yeah.
The constant feedback, back and forth interaction, including in real time. Hey, we're going to need this driver here at 8:45. It's like, okay, they're on the way. And being able to, have that back and forth and have that strong communication. Obviously, your website where we're able to just schedule,
Right.
2 days from now, 3 days from now, 4 days from now, we're going to need this many drivers, and this is where they'll be going. And the execution, it just worked, and it has to. This is, we've got a couple of critical points where our entire value proposition could fail. Single points, and delivery is probably the most critical of them. Aside from the one time that the kitchen lost power and froze overnight, that was bad. But
that sounds bad.
Yeah, it was a tough morning. We ordered pizza for a lot of kids. Just every child needs to get fed.
Yeah, eventually we need to get the food. Actually, behind the scenes, we also use similar, right? So we have a dashboard that you mentioned that you use to request your deliveries, put in your requirements and everything behind the scenes. It actually goes that good, rated drivers that's been working for other businesses as well, and they understand the complexity of food and how to handle it. And likewise, just automated it in a way. We actually built it together. I'm just proud to say that because you're one of our first customers, and we have done it together. All this complexity and solving it is it actually teaches you like a lot of things and how to structure your solution in the best way. And so we actually learned a lot, and we improved our like automations and services behind, right? So that made every single step more visible to you, because when you look at the like where your food is, you want to see right away. You can't, you don't want to just like speak with 3 people to get, or like you chase after a driver, right? So this is the whole visibility part and how the routes are created and like the time estimations and all these things. So this is actually like a B2C experience. Like consumer markets in some like segments have that innovation, right? They went through like consumer food delivery, like we've seen a lot of disruption and innovation happening. But in B2B world, in behind the scenes, like one step behind these markets, now it is the time, right? So all these like visibility and experience, and people expect it. So people want to see like how their food is prepared, what is in there, like they expect a great experience from beginning all the way to the end. So that's also like, it's for me like one of these proud moments. It's like, hey, we can actually get that like tough operation solved, and then just like working with partners like you. So that's one of my proud moments. So I wanted to step back and say it.
I certainly think so.
Yeah. So you also have a Nuggets podcast that you run, and then there are a lot of like great content for schools and daycares can look into it. Do you like, what's your aim? What's your ambition about it? Do you plan to increase your visibility and like create more of these content?
So we do have a podcast. We've had, I want to say 8 or 10 episodes, something like that. And we called it Nuggets. We couldn't resist, even though there was part of the menu we put out there. We actually, for the record, only have chicken nuggets on the menu usually twice a month, but it's always a popular item. And there are a few different things we try to do with that. We try and share content, interviews, discussions that our customers will find valuable. So that might be with a partner who talks about their experience with food in general. What are the different solutions they've tried? How has it worked? What's worked? What hasn't? We had a series of interviews with a nutritionist, early childhood nutritionist, which is just amazing, talking about how do you create and structure a menu, what should you be trying to accomplish, and then even more valuable, how do you expose the kids to new foods? How do you build that palate? And why early childhood is the critical opportunity to do that. Because ages 1 through 5, they'll try things. They're not as picky yet. And also explaining more about our service. So we had one recently that was just walking through our menu and on our online technology portal. Because everybody, when they join, or everybody in the process of signing up, is shocked to learn we have online ordering. It's not something you run into. So letting them see, here's how it works, here's what it does. So continue to do that. The current goal, I'm actually talking to some current customers about joining me for a discussion of the last 2 years. And what has it been like running a daycare through this absolutely insane period? But not only has everything changed, everything's changed multiple times.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Also, like your Nuggets podcast, actually, these are all the things that you do behind the scenes, right? So like how to prepare food, how to organize everything. So by making it more visible, you're actually helping a lot of schools and daycares to actually see how much you help, but also like what is really important about all these operations that you build behind the scenes, and all the care and the details that goes into making it happen.
Yeah. No, it's again, right? You don't. All the centers see, and all they really need to see is a well-fed child at 1 o'clock. That's the goal. And everything that happens prior to that, they don't know. You don't know what goes into something until you really dig in.
Yeah. All these things matter. Like all these things, like making it more visible. You're really just speaking with the customers and understanding what they care about, like how everything's changing. There's and then making sure that that's becoming more and more visible. Like I listened to a couple of those, and I watched a couple of those and loved it. So David, it's been a pleasure. Great conversation. Know if you have any like finishing remarks, anything that you want to emphasize before we finalize?
I don't think so. This has been great. I've enjoyed it. Thank you for the invitation. And we'll get back to making lunches.
Likewise. Yeah, let's get back to making lunches and delivering it. I mean, we have all these conversations with David, and we just wanted to make this online and then share like what goes behind making food, preparing it, and then getting it to the schools. So I hope like everyone enjoyed it, and thanks for joining us, and see you next time. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Next Mile by Metrobi. Metrobi is a local last-mile solution for growing businesses that enables them with increased sales, geographical expansion, and repeat business through successful last-mile deliveries. We provide drivers, vehicles, and delivery software to make the last mile a breeze. For more information, visit www.metrobi.com. Stay tuned to listen to the next episode of Next Mile.